In Magic, the one thing that people want to know the most is the cure to osteoporosis. Well, today I'm going to show you guys a cool and clever card trick you could do that involves the use of time. So I'm going to be using the classic bicycle deck here. This could also be a borrowed deck. Of course, it's mixed, it's shuffled. You ask the spectator if they have the jokers in the deck. You know where this is going. Because we don't need the jokers. We don't need the jokers for this trick. So I'm just gonna take them out here. If you have them, they're together. That's even better. So we'll just remove those for now because I want to make sure that nothing tarnishes what we have here. So what I'm gonna have you do, sir, if you don't mind me calling you that. Oh man, I should have Zer, if you don't mind, could you cut off around that many cards just to the table there, so the spectator lifts up a random amount here and puts it on the table. I go, that's phenomenal right there. Could you do the same with this half over here? You just take some and cut some off on the table. They do the same. We're running thin here, so I'll put these here. Just cut off one more packet and put it on the table, sir. You did that better than anyone has ever done that before, sir. Let's see what you cut here to. A 3, a 4, and a 5. Does this mean anything to you, sir? Sir, sorry, got pronouns. Sir, does that mean anything to you? 3:45. It does. It doesn't. It does. Well, it means something to me. It means that it's time. It's time to stop with the pronouns. That's what it means. It means it's time to stop with the pronouns. You piece of shit. Oh, and it also matches the time of the day. If you noticed, it's 3:45. I know but it's 3:45, and you cut right to the exact time of day that it is right now. So good. You know what? Even though it's time to stop, I still commend your ability to cut right to the time. But as they said in a popular show, you need to cut it out. You need to cut it out. Full House. Okay, so that's the trick. It's based on a couple ideas. One by Richard Sanders, which he did a triumph trick where the cards were mixed face up and face down, and then the cards were spread, and then the time. So you have a card turn over, for example, the 3, the 4, and the 5 would be turned over, and it would match the time of the day. Also, this is a cutting technique done pretty much by John Bannon for his cutting trick that you cut to the 4 aces. So what you do for this trick is that you need to peek at the time. So you wear a watch, you see the time, and you peek at it, and you're going to take out the cards that correspond to the time. So I use the queens as zeros, just because of that zero pattern. Aces count for 1, so if it's like 11:57, that's where you would have to be a little bit creative here, because for 11 you could either use the jack and kind of have to explain that the jack means 11, or you could take out 2 aces and a 5 and a 7 and continue with the actual John Bannon cutting procedure, which I'm going to show. First thing you do, you have this deck shuffled and cut and returned to you after an appropriate washing. And then you're going to go and cull, as you look for the jokers in the deck, you're going to cull the cards that you need in backwards order. So for example, in our example, it's 3:45. So what I'm going to look up the 5, the 4, and the 3 in that order. However, if the person is seated across from you, you don't need to do that, because when the packets come out, they'll come out in a way that they could read it, because the orientation. So unless the person is right here next to you, in what I like to call danger to intercourse close to you, then you're going to have to do it backwards so that the cards come out in this order, reading from left to right. I hope I don't have to explain that too much because it's logical. So under the guise of taking out the jokers, you're going to cull the cards backwards. So in this case, we're going to use 3:45 as an example. So we're going to take out the 5, the 4, and the 3. So we just go, and the first 5 we see, cull that card right here in the back. The next See the 4. We see a 4 right there. Oh, a 3. Oh, yeah, we're done, baby. Yeah, we're done. Yeah, you get that. I take out the Joker here. Take out the other Joker as I look for the sake of completion. Oh, I missed it. That's. But you take those out, and of course, those cards are now cold to the top of the deck in reverse order, ready to get the magic. Ready to get the magic. So the first thing you need to do here is a slip cut. So you're gonna grab about a third of the deck. Let me make sure that the let me tell you guys, if there's a camera that I highly recommend for its focus properties, it's the Canon T6i. So you're gonna do a slip cut, and you're gonna be pressed on time here because you have about 2 minutes. What I failed to mention initially is that you're gonna take out the cards that correspond to the time 2 minutes from now, because this trick is approximately gonna take 2 minutes, especially with the banter and the byplay. So you're gonna need to work on that timing, usually about a minute and a half. So I'll just cut it safe and say you need to take out the cards that correspond to the time that are 2 minutes from now, so that by the time you're done with this cutting procedure, it should match. And it helps if you have a digital, sorry, not an analog, whichever one has the hands on it. So therefore, you could kind of play around, even if you're not super close or if you don't make it necessarily on time. It's still close enough. If you have a digital, whichever one has the numbers on it, you want to avoid that because then it's clear cut. So something like this, for example, is perfect because you see the things. So as far as this, now what you do is a slip cut to about a third of the deck here and maintain a break. Then you're going to do another slip cut of the top card and put it above the break here. So this is the first card. This slip cut card goes on the face of this packet, but a break is kept between it there. So you see what's happening here. You have this little break here, and you could tell the spectator that to cut off a portion of cards about that much. So you're using this packet as an example. So they do that. They cut off however many cards they want. They put it on the table. Now, while they're doing this, you're going to do just a little move here. You're going to do just this little move here where you grab this break card and you kiss it to the deck and deposit it as they're putting this. So you have the misdirection of them putting this on a table. You could just briefly touch packets here in a PG fashion as to not take out monetization. Cunts. So as they do that one more time, you're going to deposit that card right below the break and put it there. So now you have the next card ready to be cut off. And here's the genius portion. Because they've cut off so many cards, you need to, logically, what would make sense is for you to put this on top so they can have more cards to cut. But what that does is that it puts the last card ready to be cut on the table. So they could cut off however many cards they want. They put it on a table. And right now, you have successfully cut to the 3, the 4, and the 5. So that's that. Now, however, if for some weird chance you do have to have the last card. So, for example, if it's a multiple digit here, so if it's in 1157 or in 1145, in that case, you're going to have to do the original John Bannon trick, to the original John Bannon method to cutting the aces. Which, you know what? I'm going to drop that on Twitter. Yeah, I'll drop that version on Twitter here because there's a little bit more of a setup here and you're going to have to watch out for the numbers. So not only does that shill out my Twitter, but it also gets you the method to do it with 4 cards. However, I prefer this method. Just having it, for example, if it's in 1157 or 1145, just using that jack. I mean, most people know that the jack represents 11, so you're gonna get them wet with that. But this is a great trick. The only hard part really is the timing. You need to be able to time this so that you don't end up with the wrong time and embarrass yourself and look like a fool when you're trying to get some of that. You're trying to get your nut in. You know what I mean? You're a squirrel trying to get that nut. So that's the trick. You practice it well. As far as what I'm shilling, what am I gonna shill? I already shilled Twitter. Patreon. I'm gonna shill that. Check that out. Exclusive videos. I'm gonna drop an exclusive hot video there on a spread force that I think you'll like. all the tiers are open, by the way. So it doesn't matter if you throw $1, you're still gonna have access to all the videos. Why? Because I'm a decent human being. So there you go. So that's that. You do that. I'm gonna go figure out how it is that people can get away with eating chicken, but not get away with copulating with chickens.
See you again when I see you again. 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 When I see you again.